The fragile equilibrium of the Taiwan Strait has been shattered, sending shockwaves through the region and beyond. For decades, this narrow stretch of water has been a flashpoint, a tense boundary separating two very different political worlds. Now, the status quo has been upended in a way few anticipated. On October 9, 2025, China officially praised a controversial proposal from Taiwan's main opposition party, the Kuomintang, or KMT. This unexpected endorsement ignited a political firestorm across the island, with citizens and politicians alike scrambling to respond. The KMT's proposal, already divisive within Taiwan, suddenly took on new significance as Beijing's approval gave it international weight. This move is seen as a direct challenge to Taiwan's government and sovereignty, escalating Beijing's strategy to influence Taiwan from within. The ruling party condemned the development, warning that it could undermine Taiwan's democracy and embolden China's ambitions. Protests erupted in major cities, with demonstrators voicing fears of growing interference from the mainland. The timing is critical. Tensions were already high after provocative military drills and a hardening of Taiwan's security posture. In recent months, both sides have increased their military presence, with warships and fighter jets patrolling the strait, raising the risk of miscalculation or accidental conflict. China's endorsement is not an isolated incident, but the culmination of escalating actions pushing cross-strait relations to a dangerous brink. Analysts warn that this could mark a turning point, with diplomatic channels narrowing and the possibility of confrontation growing more real by the day. The world is watching as the region's stability, global supply chains, and democratic resilience hang in the balance. The Taiwan Strait is not just a local issue. It's a global flashpoint, with consequences for international trade, security alliances, and the future of democracy in Asia. In this episode, we'll unpack the KMT's controversial proposal, Beijing's calculated reaction, the fierce debate now raging in Taiwan's parliament and on its streets, and the broader international context that makes this moment so critical. What's happening in the Taiwan Strait is more than a regional dispute. It's a defining test for democracy, global security, and the balance of power in the 21st century. The spark was a legislative proposal by KMT legislator Wang Xiaolin in November 2024. The bill sought to allow senior military and government officials to participate in acts recognizing Beijing's authority, like saluting the Chinese flag, arguing it was a matter of personal liberty. Critics saw it as a dangerous step toward eroding Taiwan's sovereignty and a gift to Beijing's United Front tactics. The ruling DPP and others condemned the move as a betrayal, accusing the KMT of enabling China's strategy to undermine Taiwan from within. In today's climate of near-daily Chinese intimidation, any perceived accommodation to Beijing is met with fierce suspicion. The proposal was widely labeled as treason, blurring the line between defender and adversary at the highest levels of Taiwan's government. Beijing's response was not only swift, but also meticulously calculated, reflecting a long-standing strategy to shape the narrative around Taiwan's future. On October 8, 2025, China's Taiwan Affairs Office publicly praised the KMT's proposal, hailing it as a significant step toward peaceful dialogue and cross-strait reconciliation. Beijing framed this moment as proof of a shared Chinese identity, emphasizing cultural and historical ties that, in their view, transcend political boundaries. Yet, this endorsement from Beijing only deepened Taiwan's already sharp political divisions, fueling passionate debate and public demonstrations across the island. For the KMT's pro-China faction, Beijing's support was a powerful legitimization, emboldening their calls for closer ties and dialogue with the mainland. Meanwhile, Beijing painted the ruling DPP as the main obstacle to peace, accusing them of stoking tensions and rejecting opportunities for reconciliation. International diplomats and analysts, however, viewed China's move with alarm, interpreting it as a dangerous escalation that could destabilize the region. China's praise was never about human rights or democratic values. It was about political submission, signaling Beijing's willingness to support any Taiwanese voices that undermine the island's independence. What began as a domestic dispute quickly escalated into an international incident, drawing global attention and concern over the future of the Taiwan Strait. The DPP now faced warnings that subversion could come not just from external threats, but from within Taiwan's own political system. This calculated embrace by Beijing has fundamentally altered the dynamics across the strait, introducing new uncertainties and risks. The prospect of a peaceful resolution now seems more elusive than ever, as trust erodes and both sides brace for further confrontation. The world is left to grapple with a far more complex and perilous Taiwan Strait, where every move is watched, and the stakes have never been higher. China's endorsement of the KMT proposal exposed deep divisions in Taiwan's democracy. The DPP and pro-independence parties condemned the bill as treason, seeing it as an attack on national security and morale. The KMT and its allies scrambled to defend themselves, while the TPP warned that the government's security crackdown could threaten human rights. This infighting is exactly what Beijing hopes for: paralysis and public disillusionment. The controversy shows how fragile Taiwan's political consensus is, and how easily Beijing can exploit these fissures. Taiwan's internal divisions have become a strategic vulnerability. Months before China's endorsement, President Lai Ching-te had already hardened Taiwan's stance, signaling a significant shift in the island's approach to its powerful neighbor. In a landmark March 2025 speech, he officially designated China as a foreign hostile force, a clear break from past ambiguity. This declaration was not just a rhetorical flourish, but a strategic pivot, reflecting growing concerns over Beijing's intentions. Lai cited relentless aggression, espionage, infiltration, and military threats, accusing Beijing of trying to divide and subvert Taiwan from within. He pointed to specific incidents of Chinese espionage and military maneuvers as evidence of a coordinated campaign against Taiwan. The declaration was a call for national vigilance and a message to allies. China's actions are not internal affairs but state aggression. Lai's speech was aimed at rallying both domestic and international support, emphasizing that Taiwan's struggle was part of a broader fight for democratic values. This move set the stage for sweeping security reforms and made it politically untenable for any party to support policies aiding China. The legislative response was swift, with new laws aimed at countering espionage and bolstering national defense. Lai's speech drew a line in the sand, framing accommodation with Beijing as appeasement of an adversary. This stance resonated with a public increasingly wary of China's intentions and bolstered Lai's political standing. The hostile force label redefined the parameters of Taiwan's political discourse. It forced politicians and citizens alike to reconsider their positions and align with a more assertive defense of Taiwan's sovereignty. It was a pivotal moment in Taiwan's defense of its sovereignty, marking a new era of heightened vigilance and strategic clarity in the face of external threats. In response to internal threats and China's aggression, Taiwan overhauled its security apparatus. The most controversial measure, re-establishing military courts for peacetime to prosecute national security crimes. The government also tightened restrictions on Chinese travelers and increased scrutiny of Taiwanese with ties to the mainland. These moves mark a shift from focusing solely on military defense to a whole-of-society strategy against infiltration and subversion. Critics warn of a slippery slope toward authoritarianism, fearing these measures could stifle dissent and erode democratic freedoms. Taiwan faces a difficult balance, defending itself without compromising its democracy. Beijing's reaction to Taiwan's security measures was furious and immediate. Chinese officials labeled President Lai a separatist and threatened resolute actions if Taiwan crossed Beijing's red line. The day after Lai's speech, Chinese jets and warships surged around Taiwan, with several crossing the sensitive median line. These actions are part of a pattern. Each political move in Taiwan is met with escalating military pressure from China. Beijing's strategy is to normalize intimidation, wear down Taiwan's defenses, and create a sense of inevitability. The constant military presence increases the risk of miscalculation and conflict. China is testing Taiwan's resolve and probing for weaknesses, seeking to establish a new, more threatening status quo. The Taiwan Strait remains one of the world's most dangerous flashpoints. The Taiwan Strait crisis mirrors global trends: economic interdependence weaponized, rivalries hardening. The EU's new steel tariffs aimed at China signal a shift. Economic security is now inseparable from national security. For Taiwan, China's acknowledgment of the KMT proposal is a direct threat to its democracy and cohesion. The future of peace depends on Taiwan's resilience and the steadfastness of its international partners. The world is watching to see if democracies will back Taiwan with more than words. Taiwan's fate is a bellwether for the global order, a test of whether democracies can withstand authoritarian pressure. The outcome will shape international relations for decades to come.